Hey everyone, I'm senior video producer Jeff McCobb, and we are back with another CinemaBlend roundtable discussion because we just saw the Batman panel on DC FanDome, which ended with a shockingly intense and dope trailer for the Batman, especially considering the fact that they haven't even shot half the thing yet. So I don't want to waste any time. Let's jump right over to managing director Sean O'Connell. What did you think of the footage, dude?
Matt Reeves is an amazing filmmaker. And the fact that he's able to turn, a few weeks of recording into that trailer. Now, we've seen other filmmakers shoot for a couple of days and still turn in really great sizzle reels. But this gives a great idea of the tone that they're going for. And of course, it's a dark Batman movie. What I loved is we picked up earlier in the day during different panels that they're viewing this as Batman in year two. And it's not, they're not calling it year two Batman, but what he talked about a lot in the panel that was, I think, replicated in the footage is that he's still sort of learning his way. He's an evolving Batman. He's certainly not an expert at this, and that he's trying to figure out where he fits in Gotham so that Gotham is as much of a character as Batman will be. And so the footage was great because it contributed so much else to setting up the environment with Commissioner Gordon, brief shots of the key villains, but just setting the aesthetic of what Gotham's going to look like. And I think it looks fantastic.
Yeah, to echo what Sean said, I love that Matt Reeves was talking about it being a detective story. And it's like Batman's the world's greatest detective, but we've never really seen him fumble through learning how to do that. You know what I mean? Right. So it's really exciting. Events editor Eric Eisenberg, what was your first reaction to the footage?
Oh, I am just bowled over, man. I can't even, my jaw was just on the floor. And my jaw has been on the floor a lot today. Like, that Suicide Squad material was A+, and so I went into this in a very good mood, and boy, did I just feel awesome right now. It is just a very good day. Honestly though, I'm just swimming in the details. Before even the panel, they released a few official stills on Twitter, and it actually, Pattinson having the eye black is something just like Batman, clearly when you're looking through the mask, he has makeup around his eyes, and yet every single movie we've seen, they take off the cowl and for some reason their face is just fine. And I hated that. The fact that you're actually finally showing me that I truly love. I love the gang members with the painted faces and just just reflecting the kind of style of crime that exists in Gotham uniquely. And it's just, the Batmobile just looks so cool, and just
Are they Joker-esque? Are they Joker-esque, those faces?
A little bit. I'm not sure that's necessarily what they're going for, but frankly, I just like any kind of Warriors-esque gangs where they're just buying a certain aesthetic is just it's so cool. And the whole tease with the Riddler, it's definitely, you guys maybe can steer me in a different direction, but it does seem like he is primarily driving the mystery in this, and that's obviously a very different way than we saw represented by Jim Carrey in Batman Forever.
It felt like Seven. It felt like we were watching Fincher's movie, but with Batman in it.
I love that he can include things like cheesy makeup without it being cheesy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't look cheesy at all. Yeah, totally. The cinematography completely sells it. And also, and the last detail I'll just point to is Pattinson's action when he is just beating the ever-loving crap out of that guy. I love the voice. I love the I am vengeance. It's you get 5 stars from me for this one.
Yeah, same. Senior movies contributor Mike Reyes, you're stoked as hell. I can just tell by the look on your face. What's your reaction to that footage?
Oh my God! Just Batman has always been my jam when it comes to DC. I'm the Superman of the family because, that's a thing my brothers and I kind of figured out. But Batman has just always been the hero that I've always loved reading the most and loved watching the most. And to see Matt Reeves, who I have loved since Cloverfield and his Planet of the Apes trilogy, just seeing him step into this, you give him the keys to something, he clearly is reverent and loves it. And this is only 25% of what he shot.
25%. That's not, they haven't even shot half the movie, and we still got a trailer with that much information.
Right. And also, it's not it's worthy of noting also, a lot of times, they bring, like Sean mentioned, sometimes they bring sizzle reels because they've only been shooting for a week. That's but that works when they're planning on bringing something to Comic-Con because they've been in production for only a week. They had no idea that they were shutting down, so they had to cut that just from the 25% of material they had. Like, and whoa.
But you know
like,
what? It's not huge effects driven. It's very, I'm not going to throw the word grounded out. I hate that we're, beating that term to death.
I think
but
that's
it does
fair.
look,
That's
it does
worse.
look kind of stripped
Elevating
down.
Gotham.
It looks stripped down. It looks authentic. It looks like it's born of production value and sets and locations. And I think they were trying to shoot a lot on location, but the COVID situation is going to force them back into the studio backlots. But God, I trust in Matt Reeves before as much as I trust in anybody.
And plus,
no, you go ahead.
Batman has always been the most noir of DC.
Mm-hmm.
That has just always been baked into the character. We heard Matt Reeves reference the fact that Chinatown is one of his touchstones. Sean mentioned Seven as a very apt sort of comparison, just with this whole sort of, it almost looks like Fincher just shot this. And I am glad to see Detective Batman coming to the frame.
I love that when he was, as soon as he referenced Chinatown, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, I was like, I was just over the moon. I was like, I'm so excited to see a Batman detective story, and a sloppy one. You know what I mean? The idea that he's finding his footing as this character, and he doesn't really know what he's doing. Like you see when he's beating up that gangster at the end of the footage, how he kind of loses himself.
Dude!
And it's you know what I mean? And he just keeps going in on him. Like there's something raw and sloppy about it. Like he hasn't found who the Batman is yet. So I
was gonna say, like, rule's not in effect yet.
Well, I hope it eventually is. But I love that, like, Matt Reeves did talk about like how this is in the year 2. Like the people of Gotham are afraid of him, and that's because like Batman just kind of needs to be the scary figure at this point. He needs to be instilling fear in the criminal underworld of Gotham, and if that means like also having to scare the living crap out of the citizens of Gotham while he's doing it, that's going to be some collateral damage. And eventually, obviously, they're going to learn that he is the savior that, well, they don't need, but that
they deserve.
That's Nolan.
Exactly. I'm not gonna get lost in that. But
where's the sugar?
Finding that line is it's an interesting thing, and again, just watching him beat the ever-loving crap out of that guy. Right on.
Yeah, the idea of a young Batman figuring out how to be a detective is just so freaking exciting to me. Sean, what was Matt said a lot of dope stuff throughout that conversation. What was your big takeaway from his description of the film?
Well, it's a thing that's a bit of a concern for me, and I'm gonna, it's a slight reservation. It's just that there's a lot going on in this movie, and I trust Matt Reeves will be able to juggle it. But we have a Riddler, we have a Catwoman, we have a Batman who's trying to figure himself out. We have a lot of Gotham establishment going on. You've got Commissioner Gordon, or is he commissioner yet at this point with Jeffrey Wright? I think he might be early in his career. We didn't see Colin Farrell playing the Penguin. We're going to have John Turturro playing Carmine Falcone. Like, there's a lot happening in this movie, and I am, I think Matt Reeves is going to be able to juggle it just fine. And Andy Serkis playing Alfred. So you get concerned that Batman becomes lost in his own movie, but if the rest of the world is still really rich and you have fun exploring it, it's not as big of a problem. It's okay. We have 1,000 Batman projects that you can invest in.
To that end, though, I would say, he also talked about the Gotham PD show, and it's interesting that it's going to be seemingly functioning as kind of a prequel series, because he talked about it being set during the first year of Batman in operation. And frankly, I like the idea that maybe even that show can be, teaming with Terrence Winter, just his outlet for all of the world building that he maybe can't fit into the movie, but that he still wants to explore within Gotham.
Yeah. So, a mild reservation, not a huge concern, but I think he's taken on a lot of the mythology. But again, when the audience comes to this movie, you're coming with that knowledge, so it might not be as big of a problem.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like this period of time where usually it's like we see the origin story and then it jumps forward to badass Batman everybody knows, right? So what he's pretty much doing is saying the origin story is done. Now we're seeing him as a kid, right? We're seeing him get his footing as the character.
Wait, but are we going to see his parents get shot? I just need to see it. Please.
Just one more time.
No,
Just
get
one
it.
more time.
How did you know that scene, Sean? How did you know that scene?
Yeah. I mean, someone's got to explain to me why he's becoming Batman, please.
Is it Excalibur or Mark Zorro? I forget.
It's Mark of Zorro. Mask of Zorro. Mask of Zorro.
Mike
Mark
is-
Mask? Which one is it?
Mike, is that something that's particularly exciting to you, being able to see this period of Bruce Wayne's life that, as far as I know, I don't think has ever really been tackled in film?
Oh, yes. Oh, totally. I mean, it's the same thing, the same problem that I had when they announced Amazing Spider-Man as quickly as they did after the first 3 Raimi Spider-Man. It's like, oh, great. We get to see Alcombe shot again. That's wonderful. That's fantastic. And then to that credit, this might be like a Spider-Man Homecoming where, okay, there's been some establishment. We can skip the shooting. We can skip the stuff that we know. And let's just get into those corners that we really don't see where it's like, Batman, but like Spider-Man, needs help. He really has to work through the trauma within him and also finding out how to do this gig on the streets of Gotham. And that's always kind of the afterthought. It's like you always go to year 1. Like that's the first book you start on. That's where like with any superhero, the origin story is so important. But now we're sort of moving into this phase of comic book movies where we know the origin. What we really want to see is imperfect heroes becoming perfect, striving to be who they are. How does Batman become Batman?
I will say earlier, Eric mentioned him with the face makeup on. I'm sure it's already blowing up as a meme on the internet. Emo Batman, emo Batman. So like, welcome to the Bat Parade. And honestly, the first thing that came to mind, the first thing that came to mind was Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3, and I was like, can we just stop? Can we stop emoing our superheroes?
Oh,
here?
No, it's
Superheroes are emo too.
I know.
Can you see this? Can you see this Batman ever having a Robin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially if the internet
Right?
gets Timothy Chalamet.
And I honestly want a Robin. I want an on-screen Robin. I think that he's an integral character, but we don't ever get a Batman that's set up to be someone who looks like he could ever take one under his wing. No pun intended.
Our producer Hannah just messaged me and said that you actually do see a hot clip of Colin Farrell in the trailer.
You do?
Yeah, I didn't notice it. Did you guys see
That was
anything?
him with the makeup, wasn't it?
Was it?
With the nose.
Was it? With the
I think that,
who looked burned?
I was trying to piece out who it was that was like in the getaway car. Like you see the sort of like balding with the nose. Like that was kind of a penguin-esque nose.
Oh, I wonder. See, now I have to go through it and pay
Yeah,
attention.
well,
Exactly. I only watched it once
Balcony.
before I came in here, so
just so our audience knows, we jumped into this conversation immediately after.
I kind of liked Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman look too, which had kind of a
like the little
ski
ears,
mask.
and like the ears is kind of like very subtle, but yeah, good detail.
Well, that was someone else that Matt Reeves sort of teased as this is her origin.
Yeah.
This is her new thing. She's not Catwoman yet.
Yeah. That was a pretty interesting take to say that too.
Okay, so I'm looking at this image now on Twitter, the image of Colin Farrell that was just sent to me, and it is fully evident as to why we didn't recognize him.
Oh, really?
Because he looks. Open it up right now, like if you can check it out in the chat.
That's
Twitter.
amazing.
We'll throw this image up for you guys, for the audience, but he looks ridiculous.
The set photos have hidden that really well because the set photos we've seen there was none of that makeup.
That
it was
incredible.
Thin hair Colin Farrell, but not that.
Oh
That's
my
awesome.
gosh.
That looks like
wild.
John Travolta and Tommy Lee Jones combined.
Yeah, right?
Cue the Two-Face clip.
That's Colin Farrell? That's bizarre.
That's awesome.
That's crazy, dude. But that says some really nutty things about where they're going with it, that we saw the dude and didn't even recognize him.
That's great.
Matt
though.
Reeves, take us with you.
Really.
Man,
Exactly.
I tell you what, I trust Matt
of it.
Reeves like endlessly with this now. Like,
So you believe in Matt Reeves?
yes, I do. I
I
certainly
want you
do.
to say, I believe in Matt Reeves.
For you, Mike, I will say I believe in Matt Reeves.
Yes.
Did you ever
Eric.
not?
No, I'm a big fan, but to be honest, I'm always a little cynical when it comes to comic book films and the multiverse and another Batman. Like, do we really need to do this already? You know what I mean? But after
Oh.
hearing Reeves talk about his plans for the character that are unlike anything we've seen before, I'm just freaking stoked on a Batman detective story, dude.
That's a huge takeaway from today, the idea of the multiverse. And I want DC to explore that for years to come. Because if it allows a filmmaker to take a character and just play with them on an island somewhere far away, and DC really lets them do this wholeheartedly, and accept the fact that audiences can say, all right, well, so Matt Reeves is doing this with Robert Pattinson, and if someone else wants to be Batman in the DCU, the DCU proper, that's fine. They can crisscross, but you can do it with other characters as well too. Now, it might be strange to have like another Wonder Woman or another Aquaman at this point now, because they're so integral to their franchises. But you know, let's get Superman back going in a contained Superman story somehow, that a filmmaker pitches, you know, a movie that they love, that they want to get off the ground, and the multiverse concept allows them to do that. I think that that's a great takeaway from DC FanDome today.
All right. No, go ahead, dude. Go ahead.
No, you're probably going to look at me weird, but because of that multiverse, I'm just dead set. I want Kevin Smith to do his books with Ben Affleck, maybe an animated version, but I want cacophony, I want widening gear, and I want the man to finally finish Bellicosity.
Okay.
That's how you pronounce it. We're looking it up before we came on.
I love it, but we're going to have to do a whole nother video on this because Mike's doing a deep lore dive here. So I'm going to get some closing thoughts and wrap this up. We're all still buzzing from the footage. And I think I know the answer to this question as far as we all go, but let's start with Eric. We all already had faith in Matt Reeves for this movie. Do you have even more faith now after seeing the footage?
Oh yeah, I mean, how could you not? I mean, like, up to this point, it was theoretical, and now it's proven. Now we know it exists, and we know what we have. I mean, I was already pretty convinced when he released that first teaser with Bathed in Red and the first costume when we first heard that Giacchino score. But yeah, no, this is everything.
Dude, what about the suit? The full shot of the suit.
Mm-hmm. That first arrival.
Yeah.
Amazing. Awesome. And he said they spent a year designing it. Like that was.
Looks great.
And they're doing something new with the Batcave too. They're taking a fresh spin. Mike, are you way more excited now than you were when it was announced?
Yes, just totally, absolutely. Seeing it in the flesh, in person, I'm just ready.
Sean, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, October 2021, guys. So.
Oh God, it's so far.
So damn far.
Be very, very patient because. And that's if everything goes smoothly from here till then. But
right.
Yeah,
I love to finish the movie, right? They have to shoot 75% of it still. So.
Yeah, looks fantastic, but we're over a year away. So
yeah,
but I'm waiting
at this point.
I'm waiting.
Yeah.
I'm waiting. We'll see.
All right. Well, to all of you, the viewers, the footage was just debuted for the first time, but I'm sure that it exists on the internet somewhere at this point.
Yeah,
check that out.
On CinemaBlend.
CinemaBlend.com/gov.
Is that what we are? Is that where this is? Check that out and then let us know in the comments what you think. Are you stoked to see the film? You can see it in over a year from now, which is a bummer. But the good news is that throughout that period of time, we will be updating you every freaking step of the way. These guys are writing stuff all the time. Make sure to hit like, make sure to hit subscribe, and turn on your notifications to be updated. Mike, Sean, Eric, thanks for joining me, guys.